Angelo D'Ambrosio here with Sentry Equipment. Today we're going to be talking about draining, disassembling, and reassembling the Gen 5099. So we're going to start with taking our product out of the bottom of our machine. So we could remove our mix cord here. And there's two ways of pulling your mix tank out. You can pull the cane out from the pump assembly and pull your mix tank out that way. Or you can leave it in and pull the mix tank out from the cane. So after we take our mix tanks out, we're going to put a bucket of cold water in our cabinet. We're going to have our canes in, and then we're going to come back up here. We're going to come up to our controls and we're going to hit our power button. It shuts everything off. We're going to take a 2-gallon bucket, put it under our head. Now we're going to start draining the product. So we're going to relieve the pressure by pulling up our air relief valve. We're going to take our push rod out. Pull our handle. And now we want to pull the mix from our cabinets. We're going to come to our controls. We're going to get into our clean menu, which is the button under the spigot. And then we're going to go to the pump button and hit the square underneath. As you can see right now, the pump is coming on. It is pushing the product out. To help this process along, you could turn on your beater, which will spin with no refrigeration, and it will help push out the product. Right now the product coming out is frozen. We do not necessarily have to waste this product. We could use it for ice cream sandwiches, novelties, pints. We want to limit as much waste as possible. Now the object is to get the water to come out as clear as possible, letting the machine clean itself as much as possible, making less work for you. Good feature to the Gen 99 is it has a way to tell you when it was clean last. For that to register with your machine, the head would have to come off. The pump covers would have to be removed. And the cylinder temperature would have to reach 55. While we're down here, for those of you who have our older models, we do have new pump covers. These pump covers, as you can see, are not the stainless, and you're able to see through them, seeing your mix hose, making sure it is straight. Another feature is the spring that clamps the mix hose in. The benefit to having this spring is if there is pressure buildup, it allows some give, so there's less chance of the hose breaking. Now that the machine's running clean for a few minutes, we're ready to check to see if the water is clear now. So again, we're going to relieve the pressure by pulling the air relief. Once that is done, we can pull our handle down. As you can see, it is coming out a lot clearer now. So what we are going to do is we're going to drain the rest of the liquid out of the machine, and we can go from there. So after we've drained all the water out of the machine, we can come back to our control board and power it off. Now we're ready to disassemble the head. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our push rods out. Have all the handles open. Then we could start unscrewing the head. You want to do this evenly. Once the head is unscrewed, you can grab your handles. You want to wiggle and pull. You want to keep your bucket under because any liquid that's left in will come right into it. We're then going to take our beater shafts out of their cylinder and remove the bushing. We're We're going to pull the beater shaft out, and the blades do not lock on, so you want to hold them. So we flushed our machine, we disassembled the top of the machine, and we cleaned the parts at the sink, which we have laid out here now. We're going to go through the parts here, and we're going to reassemble and put the machine back together. So we're going to start with assembling our beater shafts first. We're going to use the Petrogel, which is available here at Sentry. We're going to take a little bit of Petrogel and put it around the top of the beater shaft. Petrogel is a food-safe lubricant to help lubricate the parts. After you put the Petrogel on, you can smooth it in with your finger. And we're going to take our shaft seal. What our shaft seal does is it suctions to the back of the machine, so no mix can get into the machine. So we're going to take our beater shaft, we're going to put the seal on. The seal is good. This is the back of the beater shaft, which goes into your machine. The seal will suction to the machine, to the back of the cylinder. We're going to take our blades. As you can see, our blade has a circle and the oval. We're going to take the blade, flat part in our palm, putting the blade on our shaft. Take the other blade, and you want to match up the oval to each blade and the circle to each blade. So if the oval is in the front here, you want to do the same here. And each cleaning you could switch so the blade is wearing on each side. You're getting more life out of your blade. So to place our shaft seal, our beater shaft in our cylinder, pushing all the way to the back and hearing it click. Once our beater shaft is in the cylinder, we can take our bushing and place that right there. Place that in the front of the beater shaft. So you have two sides of this to the 5099, so we're going to do the same thing for our next beater shaft. Taking the beater shaft, using the food-safe lubricant, Petrogel. A good tip for the Petrogel is when you take the Petrogel, you want to put from the Petrogel to the part, not putting your finger on the Petrogel itself, preventing germs from staying on the tube of lubrication. Again, taking our shaft seal facing out. Then again, taking our blades, paying attention to the oval and circular shape. And repeating the process, putting them in the cylinder, letting it hit the back, and turning until it doesn't turn anymore. And last but not least, for the cylinder, for the beater shaft, we're going to put our bushing on. Beater shafts have been assembled. We're going to move to assembling and lubricating the head. So you're going to take your head. Now you have O-rings on the head itself, which are here and here. They also need lubrication. So we're going to put a little bit of the lube on each O-ring. And then we're going to make sure we get all the lubricant around the whole O-ring. Next is our plungers and our air reliefs. We have 3 plungers. Two look the same, they go on the ends, and the one that is different will go in the middle, in the center. So again, we take our Petrogel, put it on each O-ring, The center plunger has 4 O-rings. Can you see that? So we'll need 4 beads of Petrogel. After you rub it in, you can put it in your head and do the same for the other 2 plungers. After our plungers are in, we're going to move on to our air reliefs, which also have smaller O-rings on them. Again, you're going to take your Petrogel, put it on each O-ring, and make sure it gets all the way around. So after everything is lubed up and assembled, we can take our head and put it back on our machine. Yes, Rob. Same way we took the knobs off evenly, we want to put them back on and tighten them evenly. The reasoning for that is so the head doesn't go on kinked. It could nick an O-ring or not go on straight and cause the head to leak. So we're going to tighten these diagonally and evenly. So now we're going to put our push rods in, which will go up into a chamber and sit into the top of the plunger. All our push rods are interchangeable, so it doesn't matter which one it goes on. Then the last thing to complete the assembling the top part of our machine is our decorator caps. And they'll just click on the bottom of each one. Also all interchangeable for this machine. So now we're going to disassemble the bottom of our machine. We're going to take our cane, leave it in a bucket, take our duckbill valve out. We're going to take our pump cover off, which just screws on or unscrews from the center. Then we're going to loosen the boot to your pump assembly. We're going to take the right side of the mix hose out first. We have to unclamp our air tube, and then we can pull the left side of the pump out. After that's disassembled, we can come to our hose clamp from our braided hose and take that from our machine. So now we've disassembled the bottom part of our machine. We've washed them in our sink. Now we're ready to reassemble. So what you want to do is you want to take your mix cane. You're going to take your port assembly, put it onto your mix cane, close the latch. Take your air meter tube and put it onto the port assembly. Then we're going to take our air meter. This meters the air going into your product, and that will stick right into the top of our air meter hose here. What comes next is our mix tube. That's going to go on this part of our cane. And we're going to take our hose clamp, put it to the top of our mix hose, and just tighten it hand tight. Next comes the braided hose. And we're going to put that here. Same thing with the hose clamp. And also hand tight for that as well. The last thing for this part is, again, the duckbill valve, and that will go into the bottom of our cane. Now that we've reassembled everything, we're ready to put it back into our machine. So what we want, the objective is to have our mix feed hose sitting like so in the machine. The red line is an indication that nothing is twisted or broken. So the same way we took it out, we're going to put it in the right side of our mix hose first, where we'll go around the rollers here with the mix hose, keeping the red line straight and using the cane to muscle it in. After the mix tube is in the rollers, you want to just check and make sure that your hose is in the middle of the rollers here. And then we can close the boot and tighten the boot hand tight. Then we want to take our braided hose with our hose clamp, attaching it to our machine. After the braided hose is attached, we can move our hose clamp up and again tighten that hand tight. Last but not least, for the pump assembly, we want to take our mix cover and put that on. It is important to know that your pump will not run without this mix cover on. Now that everything's been assembled, we could take our mix tanks. We could take our clean mix tanks, put them back in the machine, taking our cane, just sliding it in. Plug our mix cords back in, which plug in for this side to the top left and for this side to the top right. So after you have disassembled, clean, and reassembled your machine, you're going to sanitize it before putting our product back in. Now I've already put the sanitizer in. We ran our beater for 3 to 5 minutes with the sanitizer in, and we're ready to drain the sanitizer out now. So same as before, we're going to relieve the pressure, which is used by our air relief. Pull our handle. We want whatever's in the line to come out, so we're going to go into our clean menu through our control board here and turn our pump on. And we're going to drain as much of the sanitizer out as possible. So we're going to shut off our pump now by hitting the power button up at our control board. We're going to leave our spigot open while our machine finishes draining whatever's left that it can. We're going to put our mix tank with our vanilla mix back into our machine. So now that the mix is in the machine, what we're going to do now is called priming or purging, which is the mix pushing out any sanitizer that is left in your cylinder or your head. It is important to do this because the sanitizer can freeze in your head or the cylinder, causing damage to the parts in your machine. So we have our mix in our machine now. We're going to come up to our controls. With the plunger open and our air relief open, we're going to turn our pumps on. What you're going to see is sanitizer being pushed out by our mix, and then you're going to see a straight line of mix. Once you get that straight line of mix, you can close your plunger, put your push rod back in, leaving your air relief open. We're going to wait for product to drip from the air relief, and then we're going to shut the air relief as well. Once the product fills the cylinder, the air relief is shut, like so. We're going to wait for our pump to shut off here. And once that happens, we're ready to turn our machine to day and start serving product.